Good morning. We need a spirit of victory, a spirit that will carry us to our rightful place under the sun, a spirit which will recognize that we, as inheritors of a proud civilization, are entitled to a rightful place on this planet. Sir C.V. Raman. With this beautiful thought, I, Dr. Sharat Chandra Tripathi, welcome on behalf of VIT Bhopal our chief guest for today's inaugural function of National Science Week, Shri Nilesh M. Desai, Distinguished Scientist and Director, Space Application Center, ISRO, Ahmedabad, who has spared some time from his busy schedule and have joined us to enlighten the audience on the auspicious occasion of national importance. Honorable Vice Chancellor, VIT Bhopal University, Dr. U. Kamachi Mudli sir, Deans, Directors, Registrar, Shri K.K. Nair sir, faculty colleagues, representatives from Madhya Pradesh Council of Science and Technology, friends from media houses, VIT Bhopal staff, students, mentors, and dear participants. At the outset, I thank our esteemed management, Honorable Chancellor Dr. G. Vishwanathan sir, Vice President Sri Shankar Vishwanathan sir, and the constant source of our inspiration, who have always been instrumental in all the initiatives being taken at VIT Bhopal, respected Assistant Vice President Ms. Kadambari S. Vishwanathan ma'am, for giving us an opportunity to celebrate Science Week on such a large scale. As the country is celebrating 75th year of independence as Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav to commemorate 75 years of progressive India and glorious history of its people, culture, and achievements, VIT Bhopal University is celebrating National Science Week under the theme of Integrated Approach in Science and Technology for Sustainable Future to commemorate the discovery of Raman effect by the great Indian physicist Sir C.V. Raman on February 28, 1928, with the motive of telling the nation about the contribution of our great scientists who have been instrumental in bringing India this far. I hope this will create an opportunity to display the activities, efforts, and achievements in the field of science for human welfare. During the celebration week, VIT Bhopal is organizing an inter-university quiz competition on science and technology, which will be conducted in online mode on 2nd March 2022. Undergraduate and postgraduate students are eligible to participate in this competition. Any exhibition on science and technology for sustainable future is being organized where school students will be participating. Speak for Change, a national level speech competition on science and superstition is being organized for school students. A lecture series is planned where eminent speakers of national and international repute will be delivering the talk, namely Professor Deepankar Banerjee. He is the director of Aryabhatta Research Institute of Observational Sciences. He will be speaking in the coming days on variability of our nearest star, the sun, and its impacts on 26th of February, by tomorrow. Mr. Dhananjay Rao, he is a science enthusiast and communicator. He will be speaking on science and technology in ancient Indian temples on 27th of February. Dr. Vilas Shelke, who is the CEO of Recharge and Energy Private Limited, he will be speaking on energy for mobility and stationary storage on 27th of February. Dr. Manjusha Shelke, she is the principal scientist at National Chemical Laboratory. She will be speaking on ultracapacitors, the high power flexible energy storage devices on 28th of February. Dr. Vasant G. Sathe, he is the Center Director for UGC DAE Consortium for Scientific Research, and he will be speaking on discovery of Raman effect on 1st March 2022. We will have the lecture by Dr. Prakash P. Vardgaonkar. He is the emeritus scientist at National Chemical Laboratory, and he will be speaking on chemistry for sustainable development on 1st March 2022. We have the eminent speaker, Dr. Helen Elizabeth Mason. She is the emeritus reader at Department of Applied Mathematics and Theoretical Physics and University of Cambridge, UK, and she will be speaking on solar spectroscopy in the ultraviolet and X-rays on 1st March 2022. Dr. Nakul Parashar, Director Vigyan Prasar, will be with us, and he'll be speaking on scope of science communication, popularization and extension on 2nd March 2022. In the series of this lecture series, we will be having the last speaker, Dr. Anil Bharadwaj. He is the member of International Academy of Astronautics. He is the J.C. Bose National Fellow and Chairman for INSA ISC Joint Committee for Post-Power OC and SQUASTEP. And he is serving currently as Director, Physical Research Laboratory, Ahmedabad. Dr. Bharadwaj will be speaking on Indian planetary missions on 3rd March 2022. I hope it will be a great learning experience for all the participants. Now, I would like to invite our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. U. Kamachi Mudali, sir, for his opening remarks. Sir, it's over to you, please.
Very good morning. Am I audible, Dr. Sarath?
Yes, sir.
Very good morning. Distinguished scientist and the Director of Space Application Center at ISRO, Ahmedabad, Mr. Nilesh M. Desai, my senior colleagues from BHOPAL University, and the participants from the schools, colleges, and also the students from our BHOPAL University, the faculties, and all invitees for this inaugural function of Science Week celebrations, National Science Week celebrations, organized by the BHOPAL University. I'm very proud that the National Science Day, which is normally celebrated every year on 28th February, is being celebrated in the last 2 years as Science Week, National Science Week, almost for a whole week. There are programs organized by our university, and I'm very happy to congratulate the team under Dr. Sarath Tripathi, who have put tremendous effort in making this week-long Science Week celebration by our university, by inviting distinguished speakers, by organizing various other programs that is going to give chance for students to explore about the scientific developments that is happening in the country. The celebration of National Science Day this year, as in my opinion, is very, very important and relevant due to 3 factors. Of course, the 28th February 1928, when the discovery of Raman effect was made, and that was a great achievement for India that fetched a Nobel Prize to our physicist, great physicist Sir C.V. Raman. And to commemorate this, we celebrate on this day, 28th February, as a National Science Day. Second is that this year is of great relevance to our country because we are celebrating the 75th year of the India's independence. In another words, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. There are several programs that are going on for a year long in the whole country by all the departments in the government, all the industries, private institutions, and all organizations. We are all proudly celebrating the 75th year of independence. So that has a big relevance at the second point in celebrating the Science Week during this year 2022. And third most important point, I consider that why it is very relevant for us to celebrate the Science Week for 7 days with great program is that the United Nations General Assembly has declared that the year 2022 as the International Year of Basic Sciences and Sustainable Development. That is, the whole year, the UN General Assembly has requested all the countries in the world to celebrate it as a year of basic sciences and sustainable development. So in all these 3 respects, celebrating National Science Day for a week-long program is very important. And that is where the BHOPAL University, under the leadership of our Assistant Vice President, Madam, Ms. Kadambari Sankar Viswanathan, and our Vice President, Mr. Sankar Viswanathan, and our Honorable Founder and Chancellor, Dr. G. Viswanathan, we have made all the efforts to see that such a program is conducted with many activities. I think the activities have been already listed by my colleague, Dr. Sarath Chandra Tripathi. We have a week-long program with not only just speeches from the most eminent people, but also the project displays, the competition for all the school children, so that they all come to know the developments in the science and engineering and technology and mathematics, that is STEM, in this year. India has a very rich history of science in the past. From A to Z, if you name from agriculture to zoology, to name any field of science, India was pioneer. India has made tremendous contributions that everyone knows. However, due to the invasion of the foreign entities in the history, we have lost all our pride, and we have been trying to go back to our glory by trying to do the original basic sciences and also development for the country. And that is where that government of India is pumping in huge fund today. I think our honorable Prime Minister has taken lead in seeing that the science and technology grows, not only in just numbers as GDP, but also in the inventions as patents, and also very high impact journal publications. The country's science index would go. So there are a lot of efforts made by this government, and I am sure that institutions like us, BHT Bhopal University, nowhere that we are behind. We are doing all our efforts to make science that is going to be very dear to particularly the students from schools, colleges, and universities. And I'm very, very happy that this competition scheduled during this week is going to bring in more and more excitement to the students. In this year 2022, Government of India has also has declared as the year for integrated approach in science and technology for a sustainable future. That is the theme for the National Science Day 2022. And I am very happy that such theme will definitely motivate all the institutions and all the younger minds from the schools, colleges, and universities to look at science in a different way and bring a lot of glory that what we had in the past to present day. In this regard, I am very proud and happy that BHT Bhopal University is continuing to do the National Science Week celebrations, and the organizing committee under the leadership of Dr. Sarat Chandra Tripathi has put tremendous effort for a week-long program. I know the difficulties in coordinating various speakers, various agencies, schools, and also the supporters. And I know that tremendous effort has been put, and that will definitely yield a fruitful end when we go for the concluding session. I congratulate the team of BHT Bhopal for this purpose, and I thank profusely our management, particularly our Honorable Chancellor, the Honorable Vice President, and the respected Assistant Vice President, Madam, for providing all the necessary support, guidance, and all the facilities for doing these wonderful week-long science celebrations. I am also very proud, and I want to welcome Sri Nilesh Desai, distinguished scientist and director of the Space Application Center, who kindly consented to our request to be the chief guest and inaugurate and speak in a motivating way to the participants, particularly the students, young students who are attending this event. I have no doubt that apart from him, there are other several speakers as mentioned by the organizers will also motivate the students and bring in the glory of the science to the minds of our younger generation in the country. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to spell out my views. Over to the organizers.
Thank you, sir. Now, I do request our respected Vice Chancellor, sir, to introduce today's chief guest to the audience.
Thank you, Dr. Sarath. I am very proud to introduce Sri Nilesh M. Desai, who is presently the distinguished scientist and the director of the Multidisciplinary Space Application Center at Ahmedabad under the Department of Space, Government of India. Sri Desai is a top ranker and gold medalist of 1968 BE Electronics and Communication batch from the LD College of Engineering, Gujarat University, Ahmedabad. And in the last 36 years, during his dedicated and illustrious career in the ISRO, the Indian Space Research Indian Space Research Organization, he has made tremendous contributions in the design and development of ISRO's microwave radar system, and realization of advanced and synergetic applications involving Earth observation, navigation, and communication technologies for social benefits, governance, and strategic uses. To say his great contributions, individual contributions, he has led the design and development of ISRO's airborne and space-borne microwave remote sensing payloads like the RISAT-1C band synthetic aperture radar, or the OceanSat-2 and the SCATSat-1 radar spectrometers, Chandrayaan-2 orbiter, SAR, and lander altimeter, and hazardous detection and avoidance processing system, airborne SAR for disaster management, mini SAR, and many more things to his glory. He is guiding the activities related to signal and data processing and remote sensing applications, and the navigation with Indian constellation, receivers and applications, SATCOM user terminals, and ground segments for mobile, broadband, and high throughput communication satellites. Thus, he has provided unique leadership and direction in developing and strengthening both the space infrastructure as well as its applications. Presently, he is also spearheading cutting-edge science and technology initiatives at the Space Application Center, ISRO Ahmedabad, related to quantum frontiers and artificial intelligence, machine learning techniques for data processing. Many state-of-the-art technologies utilized in projects for governance, development, strategic use involving strategic satellite communication and navigation, which is called COMNAV-based applications, were developed under his leadership. He has made considerable efforts in proliferating the usage and application of indigenous navigation technologies like NAV-IC, GAGON for commercial, governmental, and strategic users. He has also mentored the design of world-class courses on satellite communication, SATCOM, and global navigation satellite systems under the aegis of United Nations Center for Space Science and Technology Education for Asia and the Pacific. Mr. Desai has represented ISRO and the Government of India at various international forums in Dubai, Austria, China, France, Germany, Israel, Russia, Singapore, South Africa, and the United Kingdom, including delegations at International Committee on Global Navigation Satellite System meetings and conferences. He is the recipient of many distinguished awards, and most significant being the ISRO Performance Excellence Award, ISRO Individual Merit Award, and ISRO Team Award for RISAT-1 payload that has been in his list of many other awards. Presently, he is serving as the National President of ISRS Executive Council and Vice President of ISSA Ahmedabad Chapter. Sir, we are very proud that you have accepted to our invitation and joining us to give this motivating address on this National Week celebration inaugural function. Thank you very much and welcome, sir.
Good morning. I hope I am audible.
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Sarath Tripathi ji, and especially Dr. Kamalji Mudali ji, Vice Chancellor VIT, Bhopal University, for inviting me for this inaugural function of National Science Days or Science Week celebrations in VIT and its all other premises. So let me congratulate first the organizers for organizing this very important event. As all of you know, the nation's progress is chartered by the scientific temperament of the country. And in that sense, VIT institutions and especially VIT Bhopal is doing a great service by organizing this very important Science Week celebrations throughout this week from 25th February to 3rd March. So let me once again congratulate all of you and also thank Dr. Sarath for personally inviting me for this inaugural function. And as has been pointed out by Vice Chancellor Sir, Mr. Mudali ji, and let me also thank Dr. Vishwanathan, the Chancellor of VIT, as well as his whole team and other trustees of VIT for setting up a very remarkable institution. And as I was going through your brochure and other details, so with 7,000 plus students in various faculties in VIT Bhopal and over 40,000 plus students all across the country in VIT group of institutions. So in that sense, VIT group is doing a great service for the promotion of science and technology. And with these celebrations of National Science Week 2022, as has been pointed out by Honorable Vice Chancellor also. So this year's theme of integrated approach in science and technology for sustainable future, especially for our Science Day celebration, Science Week celebrations, as well as the whole year which has been dedicated for sustainable future related activities with basic science as its prime mover. So importance of science, as I said, for any nation to develop the scientific temperament has been very important. And here am reminded of our great father of Indian space program. All of you are well aware, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, who gave the vision of Indian space program. And incidentally, he belonged to Ahmedabad, from where I am sitting right now and addressing all of you from Space Application Center, Indian Space Research Organization. So it is one of the unique centers of ISRO. And Dr. Sarabhai conceived this whole Indian space program vision and mission. And in that direction, SEC, Space Application Center SEC, has been his main brainchild, as I would say. And incidentally, as Honorable Vice Chancellor Ji was pointing out, India is celebrating its Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 years of our independence from British rule. And we are also very lucky and in fact, very proud to inform you that our Space Application Center is also celebrating its 50th year, because in 1972, we were established there were different departments were put together and Space Application Center was evolved. And Professor Yashpal, all of you know him as a great social scientist as well as a scientist of his own kind. And all of you would have seen him on television explaining various nuances of science. So he has been the great motivator and the great scientist who motivated people to work on science, to understand science basically. And Professor Yashpal was our first director at Space Application Center. So from that itself, you can imagine the importance we give here at Space Application Center. Although generally ISRO is considered to be more as a technology initiative in this country, that is more oriented towards technology development. But at the same time, we are doing a lot of science. And as Dr. Sarad also pointed out, this whole week you will be listening to variety of scientists, and a lot of interesting topics have been lined up for all the students and the researchers to know about various activities in science happening in this country. And Physical Research Laboratory, PRL, whose director, Dr. Bharadwaj, will also be giving one talk at the end of this week. So Professor Dr. Vikram Sarabhai started his whole program here of Indian Space Program from Physical Research Laboratory. So in that sense, as I said, our place, Ahmedabad, is a cradle for not only science, but also technology related to space activities. So we are very proud that we are celebrating 75 years of Indian independence as well as 50 years of Space Application Center. And in that process, as all of you very well know, this National Science Week is very important, as I said, to understand the importance of science in our life, to increase the scientific temperament. And here I am reminded of what Dr. Sarabhai said when he started India Space Program, that there are some who question the relevance of space activities in a developing nation. You can imagine in late 60s and early 70s, when this program was started, especially late 60s, in 1967, when the ISRO's program started, that he said that to us there is no ambiguity of purpose. We don't have fantasy of competing with developing or developed countries in going to Moon or Mars or other planets or manned space flight. And today, many of you will like to question us, especially ISRO, that we are doing exactly the same thing, which Dr. Sarabhai said we are not going to do. He said that we are convinced that if we want to play a meaningful role nationally and in Committee of Nations, we must be second to none in application of advanced technology to solve the problems of people and the society and the common man. And that is what exactly ISRO has been doing. But as I said, India aspires to be a great country, a superpower, and if not a global power, at least a regional superpower. So in that sense, acquisition of technology and applying science to acquire various technologies, that is also very critical and very important. So in that sense, going for missions like Chandrayaan or Mangalyaan or Gaganyaan, you may understand the importance of all these missions also to get the technological know-how, the technological handle on various activities. And all of you would have seen that in last 5 to 7 years, the importance of these programs like Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan, although on the face of it, it appears as a negation of Dr. Sarabhai's vision and policy. But if you see the nuances of that, you will find that in the country, especially our India and especially various schools where we are visiting, normally in college students, when we interact with them, we find that the scientific temperament of the country has improved very well after we did these missions like Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan. All of you know that the events when successfully we launched Chandrayaan and when we launched Mangalyaan, the euphoria it generated all across the country, and that inspired many of you, many of youngsters, students in schools, in colleges, to know about science, to know about moon, to know about Mangalyaan, to know about Mars, all these things. So that is what I was trying to emphasize, that the National Science Week or National Science Day, when we celebrate, the main purpose is that if the overall scientific temperament of the country, if it goes high, then the overall development of the country happens, and we take our respectful place in the Committee of Nations. So in that sense, I must once again reiterate that we are going on the path of Dr. Sarabhai only. And as you can see, apart from these missions, which are more a technological improvement and technological fulfillment of our ambitions, at the same time, we are doing various other science and related missions which help the society. Like all of you know about space communication. Now, how communication has become very easy and very meaningful nowadays. Similarly, with the advent of, say, mobile technologies, all of you know how the connectivity has improved, how it has empowered even poorest of the poor people. So all this is the power of technology and science, which has helped us to achieve various goals which our country, as far as development and sustainable growth is concerned. So in that sense, all these activities related to science and technology has their own importance. Now, I was also reminded of one great philosopher, Dr. Klaus Moser. He said, and when I see institutes like VIT and other private institutions engaged in imparting knowledge of science and technology, that he said that education or knowledge costs money. All of you are well aware when a private institute runs all these courses, of course, they are costlier compared to when government runs a similar program. But he said that education or knowledge costs money, but so does ignorance. So that is what I'm trying to emphasize, that by celebrating such science weeks, science or technology weeks or technology days, we are trying to improve the overall temperament, as well as we are trying to remove the ignorance of people. And that's why it is very important that institutions, private institutions also have their own role in developing and sustaining this development of the country. And what Klaus Moser said is very relevant, that ignorance will cost you more money rather than spending money on education or getting knowledge. So that's why I always advise people that you do your basic fundamental studies here, and then for exposure, you go to any foreign country also, because that will widen your scope of vision, as well as then you can bring the knowledge which you gather in other foreign countries and bring it to our country back and use it for the development, not only of science and technology, but overall sustainable development of the country. Now we see the importance of science and technology when we face this COVID-19 pandemic. Last couple of years, the whole world, our country, as well as all of you and all of us are facing this pandemic problem. And hopefully we have just come out of this pandemic and we are going to overcome the lasting effects. And the one American author, he very succinctly put it that what is the impact of this COVID-19 pandemic on the life of people. So he said that it has become one of the remarkable events in our life. All those people who passed through this COVID-19 phenomenon. Why it is remarkable? Because as you would have seen, he said that it is equivalent to 9/11 happening in each city of the world and simultaneously. You can imagine, all of you know the impact 9/11, that disaster when the plane struck the New York Stock Exchange and all the other Empire State buildings in New York, and what impact it created over the world. So something similar, this pandemic has created the effect all across the world. So it is like 9/11 happening simultaneously in various cities, all the cities of the world, big cities of the world simultaneously. So that is the lasting effect, the overall impact that it has caused in our lives. So now to come out of that, as I said, the science is only going to help us. And this celebration of National Science Week by VIT is a very remarkable as well as very important step. And I urge all the students, all the participants who are going to participate in various quiz as well as other programs organized by VIT Bhopal, as well as the various lecture series which we have organized. So I urge all of you to try to involve yourself in the science-based celebrations. And here I would also like to bring out some of the problems which we are facing in this country. All of you may be well aware that India possesses almost the third largest scientific force in the world after US and China. And although its overall contribution in GDP is much less than 1%. So we need to improve it to go towards at least 1% to 5% GDP growth. Then if science can contribute to that, that will be our great tribute to study of science and the celebration of such weeks. And all of you know that we have around 3.5 million scientists in our country who are doing research in various basic as well as applied sciences. But if you compare man by man, there are only 140 scientific researchers per million in our country compared to almost 30 times that number. That is almost 4,650 people per million in USA. So you can imagine the progress and the development made by such developed countries like USA. And that is all because of the amount and the time they spend on basic scientific research as well as study. Of course, we have made a very good beginning, and all of you know the impact of that during this COVID-19 pandemic, where we could also make our own vaccine within no time of less than 1 year. So that itself is a tribute to our scientific community, the people who are involved in doing basics, fundamental research that has helped us to develop our own, the Atmanirbhar concept, which our Honorable Prime Minister has given. So our scientific community is truly following on that footsteps and trying to achieve Atmanirbharta. And as I said about our space program, with various space program, and we have started our new program called Navigation with Indian Constellation, NAVIC, which is called also known as Desi GPS. So we want to replace GPS. All of you know GPS and its impact on your life. You may not be knowing, but inadvertently, almost 95% of activity which a common man does in his life, that is involving navigation in some way or the other. So we are trying to, as Government of India, and especially all of you know that during the Kargil war, our soldiers faced a lot of problems when they were fighting the war against the enemy. And they found that, because as I said, almost most of the activities are governed by or dictated by the GPS related information. So this navigation information, and our soldiers found that almost the GPS accuracy either were degraded, or the soldiers were not getting the GPS signal at all when they were fighting the war. So after that, government set up a committee, and that committee recommended that India should have its own navigational mission or the navigational system. And with that, this NAVIC idea was conceived. It was initially called IRNSS, Indian Regional Navigation Satellite Services. And Honorable Prime Minister, when he came for one of the launches of our IRNSS satellite, he suggested that this IRNSS is a very complicated name. Why not give a very simpler name? And from that, he gave a Hindi acronym of that, NAVIC. or Navik in Hindi or Sanskrit, all of you Nav and Navik. So from that, we coined this term Navik, that is navigation with Indian constellation. And all of you are going to hear a lot about Navik in coming future. Honorable Vice Chancellor also mentioned about some of the activities which we do related to science, and all of you may be well aware that Honorable Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Council is set up under the chairmanship of Principal Scientific Advisor, Dr. Vijay Raghavan sir. And that commission has identified 9 mission areas. And in that, from waste to wealth, from related to various other activities related to electric fuels, electric cells and other things. And in that, there are 2 major missions which we have identified for doing our scientific research. One is quantum frontiers. So as I said, you are going to hear a lot about Navik and navigation in near future. Same way, you are going to hear a lot about quantum communication in near future. Why? Because all of you know the importance of now cyber activities which are going leaps and bounds all across the world. And we hear a lot about cyber frauds happening and other phenomena like phishing or hacking and all these activity. So to overcome all these problems, the encryption is the major solution. But in encryption, when you transmit the key to do the decryption at the receiving end, so that will need again a secure communication. And this quantum communication is going to be the solution for secure communication. Because all of you know the cyber frauds are happening because of your OTP or your PIN code getting hacked or that getting revealed to the unknown person, or people deliberately try to get information about your OTP or PIN code, and that is resulting into many cyber frauds. So that could be the thing of the past. And in near future, when we shift to, instead of normal communication, to this quantum communication, where the communication happens through photons, and these photons are it work on the principle of random probability. So you will not be, it is like a true random number generator. All of you know it is very difficult to build a true random number generator. When you build a random number generator, it is always a pseudo random number generator, PRN sequence, which repeats itself. Maybe it repeats itself after a very long time, but it is repeatable. So to overcome that, we have to shift to what we call a true random generator scheme. And quantum phenomena, it happens using this true random generator. And this photonics and quantum electronics, these are going to be the answer for this quantum communication. And this is one area where we have been concentrating. A lot of activities have been happening in various scientific institutions all across the world. And India is also not lagging behind. That's why this Prime Minister Council has given very good importance to this particular activity. And at Space Application Center, we recently demonstrated last 2 years, first quantum communication, that is this secured key transmission using this secured photon communication. And again, we demonstrated it with the entangled photon. So it is still more secure. So you are going to hear a lot about this quantum communication in near future. And another area all of you know, which is a buzzword nowadays, is AI and ML, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. So these are also going to be the futuristic. Of course, they have become almost a present area of research. And a lot of activities which you do, they have applications of AI and ML you can apply to do those things either in a better way or in a faster way. So these are the 2 areas where we are also concentrating. And with this, again, I would like to emphasize the importance of Science Week and Science Day celebrations all across the country. And I remember what Dr. C.N.R. Rao, ex-director of IISc, told, that real research happens only in small laboratories, in small research institutions, as well as the university. So we are unnecessarily emphasizing space and atomic research for doing big research. But generally, good research happens in the universities like VIT or other government institutions and IITs, IISc, all these places. So government is now giving due importance to increasing, as I said, the improving the scientific temperament of the people, of the students, of various other researchers involved in various activities. And that's why the importance of universities and small colleges in this activity need not be re-emphasized. So with this, I wish all the best to VIT Bhopal University, who are conducting, as I said, this very good and very relevant mission of organizing this National Science Week from 25th February to 3rd March. And I wish all the best. And I once again thank Dr. Sarath Tripathi ji as well as Honorable Vice Chancellor of VIT Bhopal University for giving me this opportunity to address all of you. And I declare this Science Week open and wish all the best to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Desai. It was a wonderful speech. I think you made it really a very good start for the entire Science Week celebrations with your penchant for advancement in science and technology, how it should happen in a domain where we are definitely going to do it, which will help us in the strategic sector, particularly the space, defense, and atomic energy and the Indian defense. We are very proud that we could get you as the chief guest today for giving this wonderful inaugural speech. And I think it's a very good beginning. Thank you so much for taking your time to join with us and motivating all our colleagues. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening speech and motivating not only the participant students, but to the faculty of VIT Bhopal as well. And we thank your generosity for acknowledging our small efforts and give a big appreciation to these. At this moment, I would like to request our co-coordinator of this celebration week, Dr. Pradeep Kumar Keshav, to deliver vote of thanks. It's over to you, sir. Please.
Thank you, sir. Good morning to all. The National Science Week is being celebrated at VIT Bhopal University from 25th Feb to 3rd March 2022. On this occasion, I would like to thank our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. G. Viswanathan, sir, Vice President, Mr. Shankar Viswanathan, sir, respected Assistant Vice President, Ms. Kadambari S. Viswanathan, ma'am, for their guidance and leadership, which is helping us in organizing such events of this large scale. I would like to thank Sri Nilesh Desai, Distinguished Scientist and Director, Space Application Center, ISRO, for accepting our invitation to grace this inaugural session as chief guest. I would also like to thank our respected Vice Chancellor, Dr. Kamachi Mudali, sir, who is a great source of inspiration for all of us. In this Science Week, we will be having a lecture series where 9 eminent speakers all over the globe will speak in their line of expertise. I thank them for accepting our request to participate in this celebration as eminent speaker. In this occasion, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to VIT Bhopal administration, deans, directors, faculty, colleagues, students, and all the participants of National Science Week. I extend my heartiest thanks to all the media personnel who has taken their effort to join this inaugural session. I would also like to thank Coordinator Dr. Sarath Tripathi for his continuous support as the esteemed team member of this organizing committee. The National Science Week celebration at VIT Bhopal is catalyzed and supported by National Council for Science and Technology, Communication Department of Science and Technology, DST New Delhi, and Madhya Pradesh Council for Science and Technology, MPCST. On behalf of VIT Bhopal, I thank NCST and MPCST for giving us opportunity to celebrate this for a week. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I thank you all for joining us on the inaugural session of National Science Week celebration and giving the celebration a grand start. Once again, I'll thank you. Have a nice day, please.
Thank you.